Misty Edwards had two primary roles at IHOP KC. One was worship leader, the other was ELT leader. Most outside the organization had only seen her publicly leading worship in the prayer room, and had never seen her as an ELT leader, so they only thought of her as the face of worship at the International House of Prayer in Kansas City. But she was a member of the executive leadership team and held this role for many years. In fact, she was once listed as a lifetime member of the ELT. She recently resigned, but for many years she was in meetings with Mike Bickle, Stuart Greaves, David Slyker, and others, where they discussed allegations and potential scandals and what to do about them. They all developed a playbook on how to deal with people, and we've seen their reactions since October 2023. Lies, deception, denials, stonewalling, weak confessions or none at all, and no authentic apologies. After the news about Bickle's past was first made known last year when Jane Doe told her story, people felt sympathy for Jane. And after there were rumors that Misty was also a subject of Bickle's clergy abuse, people felt sympathy for Misty too. She had arrived at IHOP at the same age as Jane Doe when she was abused, and Bickle had just broken up with Jane. Around that time Bickle privately told Sam Storms he had a thing for worshipping girls. At first Misty put out a statement saying she didn't know Bickle was an abuser and she was crying about the situation. But not long afterwards she put out a strong denial statement. She was not a victim, she said, and had not been abused by her leader. This lost her some support from those who felt she was being dishonest, but others believed she was just uncomfortable admitting to a dark secret, so her posture under stress was understandable. But subsequently, Misty upped the ante by putting out an even more strong statement on behalf of women, saying they were not Jane Doe's. This lost her more support because it misrepresented the advocate group supporting the abuse survivors. Indeed, the group became so upset they released videos of interviews about Mike Bickle with former leaders which explained in vivid detail why they were exposing him. That decision was the direct result of Misty's statement and immediately followed it. Those leaders could have simply put out counter statements, and they did, but they were so upset they also released the videos. It is difficult to imagine why Misty thought publishing the Not Jane Doe statement was a good idea, or that it would not upset the former leaders. There was so little potential upside and a lot of potential trouble. Case in point is the reaction from someone other than the former leaders. Misty upset Julie Roys by undermining her work to expose Bickle and help the abuse survivors. Julie proceeded to publish an exposé on Misty for an adulterous relationship. This was a rare if not unprecedented step for a modern Christian news publisher. Misty could have just made her initial statement, resigned, and said she would make no further comment. She could have deftly sidestepped the drama and quietly disappeared. She would have departed from IHOP KC with a lot of sympathy and her reputation still intact. Instead, she decided to become an advocate for Mike Bickle, the most hated man in the charismatic church right now. As most everyone following the story has figured out already, the Not Jane Doe's group was never about supporting women, it was only about supporting Bickle. Stuart Greaves gave a list of possible survivors to Mike Bickle so he could make an indirect defense of himself. One of the women who defended him was someone with whom he allegedly had an inappropriate relationship. Besides upsetting the advocate group and Julie Roys, Misty also upset a former colleague at IHOP KC who is now a worship leader in another state. In a tweet, this pastor started by condemning Misty for what she had done to undermine the support for the survivors, and proceeded to say she had an inappropriate relationship with Mike Bickle, then multiple affairs while an ELT member at IHOP KC. All of this could have been easily avoided. All she had to do was express a little empathy for the abused women, then exit stage left. The moral of the story is when a man is under God's judgment, get out of the way.